Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 548 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as always by former heavyweight world title challenger, the main man Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how are we doing this week?
I'm doing great, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. That is the truth. I'm going to dive straight into the review part of the show. Like usual, there's going to be no guest, though, on this week's podcast, just simply because life this week in particular has been extremely busy. No guest, but it is just myself and Eddie. We didn't have Eddie on last week's show. It's good to have you back. We're going to dive straight in, though, to the review part. Like I say, it went down at The Nest, which was in Notts County FC's ground, I believe, in Nottingham. This one was on the 25th of April. We had over here Callum Johnson, friend of the show, former light heavyweight world title challenger. He's now 23-2, a massive upset. He actually lost on points over 6 rounds to Austin Namdi, who's now 14-6. Callum Johnson down in the 6th round from a right hand, and he lost, I think, in the end by 3 points. Massive shock. Obviously, he'd only lost to Artur Beterbiev, and I think he's up there in age now. I want to say he's about 40 years of age, if I'm not mistaken, but a friend of the show, and I'm absolutely gutted for him. Obviously, he's been very inactive in recent years. He chose to move up to cruiserweight. He looked very big, very strong at that weight, but yeah, clearly does not quite have it anymore. It's a shame. He's a good guy, Callum Johnson. We've done a few interviews over the years. Nice guy, but that looks to be the end of the road for him. But yeah, that will be one of the biggest upsets, I think, when we're talking about the biggest upsets of 2026 at the end of the year. We're going to go now to the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. Over here, live on DAZN, we had Freddie Rojas, 15-0 with 11 KOs, stepping in with Damian Sosa, who was 26-3. Damian Sosa, though, with the upset win on points. He had Rojas down in the 6th round. That ended up going 10 rounds, but Sosa with the upset. So 2 upsets we're starting with on this week's podcast. And then the main event over there, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, now 28-1 with 2 draws, a unanimous decision for him over 12 rounds against the undefeated Cuban heavyweight Lenier Perro. I didn't see this fight, but I've heard, Eddie, that Jarrell Big Baby Miller threw, I want to say, I hope it was a reliable source, but I'm sure they said he threw close to, if not 1,000 punches, which does seem a bit mad. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but, you know, Jarrell's a friend of the show. That's what I will say. But I'm also not going to be in denial about his wrongdoings in the past. I'm not a fan of how he's acted and how he's treated the sport. I felt that he might even lose to Perro, but, you know, a lot of people were saying that Miller looked like he looked on his best day in the past. So make of that what you will. He did come in at 300 odd pounds again, and he gets the win. Moving now then to the final card to mention of the review pie. Went down at the Melbourne Pavilion in Victoria, Australia. Over here we had friend of the show Sky Nicholson with a win. A successful defence, I want to say, of a WBC interim super bantamweight world title, I think it was. Unanimous decision over 10-2s against Mariah Turner, who's now 12-2. Turner had a point deducted in round 10 for use of the head. Sky Nicholson completely shut her out. I think it was 90-89 across the board, if I'm not mistaken. 100-89. What am I talking about? Across the board, with the 1-10-8 round for the point deduction. That is it, though, for the review part of the show. We whiz through it there. we would normally bring in our special guest, but like I say, there's not one on this week's show, so we're going to go straight on then to part 2. And in this part here, we are actually going to speak about some news, and it seems to be a rarity these days, but we do have some fights that have been made for you. We have on the 1st of August in Dublin, we're going to be seeing Pierce O'Leary step in with Mark Chamberlain. That's a good fight there. I think it will be... very interesting, actually. Obviously, we know O'Leary looked really good last time against Maxi Hughes. That was probably performance of his career. Mark Chamberlain, at one point was smashing it, really, but he seems to kind of have got a little bit inconsistent recently. So we'll see. He's still capable. We will see what happens there. I think someone will end up getting stopped. And also, this one goes down on May the 30th. We're going to be seeing Adam Azim step in with Steve Claggett of Canada. That one is going to be free to air on BBC Two and BBC iPlayer in the UK. Again, the date for that, May the 30th in London at the Wembley Arena. That's it though for the news. We're going to move straight on then to the preview part of the show. This one goes down tomorrow, Friday the 1st of May, in Nigeria at the Balmoral Convention Centre. So over here we've got deep down the undercard Elvis Ahorga. People might remember him. He came to the UK and boxed Callum Simpson. He came to the UK and boxed Tyler Denny. Well, anyway, he's boxing here in Nigeria, which, well, he's Ghanaian, but, it's in Africa for him. He steps in with Joe Laws, who's 15-4. That's an 8-rounder there, just worth mentioning on the card. We've also got return to the ring for Samuel Antwi, who's currently 18-2. I'll never forget his savage knockout of Mason Cartwright back in 2023. He's been inactive, though, since then. He was out the ring for over 2 years till he returned in December just gone. Come back with a little points win in Dubai on an undercard, deep down an undercard out there. But he's back here against Paul Kamanga, who's 24-3. People might remember him for boxing O'Hara Davies back in 2018. I remember him from that fight. I think that was on a Martin Murray undercard or something. I think I was even at that fight, to be honest. That was a long time ago, man. It just goes to show how time just flies by. So yeah, over 7 years ago, his fight with O'Hara Davies. He's back here in an 8-rounder, like I say, against Samuel Antwi, 18-2. Paul Kamanga is 24-3. And also, we must mention, friend of the show, Michael McKinson, 27-2. He's back in an 8-rounder against the undefeated Mohamed Sanoun, who's 8-0 with 6 KOs, an Algerian fighter, only 21 years of age, living in Spain. So yeah, all the very best, of course, to Michael McKinson, who, again, seems like he's really struggling to get a fight. He's been out the ring for almost a year and a half. I hope he comes back and smashes it. I really, really do. All the best to him. We're going to move now, though, to the big one. And it really is the big one, Eddie. It gets the credit from me. This is such a fantastic main event, but also a chief support that we're going to mention as well. It goes down, of course, at the Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan. It's going to be live on DAZN. It's going to be at a funky time of the day for the UK and the US. It's going to be very early morning for US, I believe. I want to say the main event's probably going to take place around about, I would say about 7 or 8 a.m. US. Well, not just US, but I mean Eastern. So you have to set your alarm if you want to catch this one. But let's touch on the chief support. We've got Takuma Inoue, 21-2, defending his WBC bantamweight world title against former champion Kazuto Ioka, who's currently 32-4 with a draw. That's going to be a great fight. That's a great chief support. But, all eyes to the main event for the undisputed super bantamweight world titles. Naoya Inoue, 32-0. I'm just thinking about one of our most loyalist listeners, Luigi. I'm sure he'll be. Well, I know he'll be watching this one. He's probably listening to me speak right now because this is boxing Christmas for him. He is a huge Inoue fan. But like I say, back onto the fight, 32-0 against 32-0. Both of these guys are the very best of Japanese boxing. Naoya Inoue, like I say, 32-0, 27 KOs. He steps in with Junto Nakatani, 32-0, 24 KOs. These guys are both big punchers, both world-class fighters. And I think it's going to be a tremendous fight. I really do. I really do. Credit to Nakatani because he's the one going up to Super Bantam for this, pretty much. You know, he was a champion at Bantam just last year. Less than a year ago, really. 5'8" Southpaw is Nakatani. 5'5" Inoue, even though he's up at the weight. You know, he's up at the weight a bit longer, at Super Bantamweight a bit longer. He's still the shorter man by 3 inches. I tell you what, I'm really split. I mean, if this fight would have been made, I know it's hypothetical and everything, but, you know, if this fight would have been made maybe a year to a year and a half ago, I probably would have sided big with Inoue. I just feel like, obviously, Inoue in his recent few fights, he has been taking more punches than usual. He's gone the distance in his last 2 fights, which I'm not entirely sure has ever happened in his pro career, that he's gone the distance twice in a row. That's 24 rounds there. Nakatani, you know, he's a very special fighter as well, and the same can be said for him as well, really. I remember him knocking out Andrew Maloney in the final round. That was just unbelievable, that performance in general. He was so impressive that night there. But again, that was at super flyweight. That was a long time ago now. But since then, he you know, he's knocked out, I want to say, all but 1, maybe all but 2 opponents since then. And this is a big step up as well, you know. But listen to this for a statistic, Eddie. Let me just work this out real quick. So his last 4 opponents in a row, listen to this for a combined bunch of records, right? We've got, this is going to be funny. So his last 4 opponents' combined records are 134 wins and just 1 loss. That's his last 4 opponents. But like I say, he's boxing undefeated guys. He's boxing guys with 1 loss and 70-something wins. But Inoue's a whole different class. And this is, I want to say, both men's biggest challenge so far. Of course, for Nakatani, that's obviously the case. But even for Inoue, his tough fights that we, you know, predicted would be tough, like the Fulton fight, like the Doheny fight, Luis Neri, Nonito Donaire. These fights on paper beforehand, I feel like we you know, they were in some cases, particularly the first Donaire fight, was a much closer fight than we thought it was going to be. But on paper going in, this is, I'd say, his toughest challenge. Like I say, it might wind up not looking like that. Maybe Inoue goes in there and knocks him out in a round. But I'm just saying, in terms of going in, like the build up, looking forward to a big fight, this on paper is the toughest test. I can say that with some confidence. I really say that with confidence. Even the Fulton fight, I was looking forward to that. I thought it could have been cool and stuff. You know, he's got a chance, Fulton, all the rest of it. But Nakatani is a very special fighter. And I actually want to say, I mean, it's just the only thing against Nakatani is that he's going up in weight. But I'm so torn on this. I really am torn. I feel like, oh man, I honestly can't pick a winner in this. Anything you want to add to it, Eddie? My brain's frazzled.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's a tough split here. It's something that, you know, think about this. 10 years ago, we wouldn't even think about two Japanese fighters being, you know, this dominant even at the lower weights. I mean, don't get me wrong, there have been, but not like this. You know what I mean? I think Naoya Inoue could be one of the best ever from Japan. So, and I mean, obviously Nakatani is, you know, going to be eventually in the conversation. I just think Inoue has really solidified himself as high up. Shit, he's one of the best fighters in the world right now, pound for pound. Now that doesn't take anything, like I said, away from Nakatani. He still has some things to do. Now, if he wins this fight, man, that thrusts him right into conversation as well. So I mean, this is an awesome situation, especially for all Japanese who all Japanese people who are fighters that they really support their own. This is going to be an awesome event there. Um, I really respect Inoue big time. I think he's an awesome fighter. Although I think sometimes his defensive responsibility is a little lacking, and I think that is similar to like Boots Ennis when he believes so much in their power because they've seen evidence of success with it, every time they throw punches. But that can sometimes hang you out to dry. And I think with a guy like this, with Nakatani, it's just you don't want to be guessing. You don't want to take any unnecessary chances. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that vulnerability, him getting dropped, you know what I mean? And it leads to even more excitement for the fight. So, I mean, and then that leads people to believe that the Nakatani has a much better chance, which I'm not saying that he doesn't, or I'm not insinuating that that Inoue would go out there and just blast him out. I think this is going to be possibly, all things included, it's obviously, I think, one of the matchups of the year, especially for Japanese boxing, but I think just boxing in general. This is a hell of a contest going on, and I think these guys are still very much in their prime, so we're not getting it too late or too early. Now, obviously, Joe, you mentioned you would like to have gotten this done maybe a year ago, but I think it's still, pretty good time, and it's not like the Floyd Pacquiao situation where I thought that was a little late. I think this is good. They're both still pretty much in their prime. They're obviously Inoue's a little bit further, I guess, along. But if Inoue goes in and wins this fight, like I know he can, I don't know if there's any more that he needs to do down at these weights. I think it's time to then. I mean, I know it's crazy to say this, but because I think the Inoue started at 112. If I'm not mistaken, flyweight.
I honestly get confused. I think he's on. Yeah. He's got to be on his. I'm sure he's on his fourth or something now.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. What I'm thinking is he's going to now have to, unfortunately, and like I said, I really believe this. Now, this is going to kind of, tell on me about what I think my pick is going to be. But I really didn't think that anyone in those weights from 26 down, to be honest, I didn't think so. I mean, I don't mean I'm 100% right, was going to beat him. I thought that the only thing that would beat Inoue is weight. And I figured he would get up if he tried to go to super feather or what you call it, junior light. That would start to get a little bit telling. You know what I mean? Where I don't think he could just cover the spread with the weight. You know what I mean? But his skill level, his speed, his power, it's just like he's a juggernaut of a fighter, especially at that weight. I don't know. I mean, Juta Nakatani is a great fighter, but this is going to be a uphill battle, in my opinion. I think for both, but I think Inoue is equipped a little bit more, slightly a little bit better. But I'm just extremely excited to see the fight. I'm telling you, it's going to be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, two top 10 pound for pound fighters, and it is just fight of the year thus far for sure. Cannot wait, honestly. And Nakatani, I mean, Inoue is he's the favourite, obviously, but Nakatani 3-1 underdog. I tell you what, that's tempting. I've got to say, that is tempting.
I gotta, 3-1.
Yeah.
Listen, even though I'm picking Inoue, I would not be mad if I put some money on that and Nakatani came out the winner. That would be awesome to get that kind of a win with 3-1 with this kind of a fight. Man, it'd be awesome.
For sure, man. Right, moving on then to the Civic Hall in Wolverhampton, West Midlands, United Kingdom. This one's live on DAZN, obviously later in the day. So in the UK, well, anywhere in the world really, there's 3 events on Saturday. You've got, I'm going to talk like UK point of view. You've got the morning card in Japan, the evening card in in Wolverhampton in the UK, and then obviously late you've got the US card, which we'll get onto. But like I say, we're gonna go here to the Wolverhampton card. A couple fights to mention: return to the ring for Junaid Bostan. He's back following his defeat to Bilal Fawaz. We've also got Tia May Ayton. They're talking about her as being like such a fantastically good fighter. She's only 19. She's 5-0 with 4 KOs. She steps in with Stevie Levy, who is 15-4. That's over 8 twos. We've also got friend of the show Shannon Ryan back in the ring over 10 twos for the vacant Commonwealth and IBF Intercontinental Super Flyweight titles against Nicola Hopewell, who is 8-1. Shannon Ryan 10-1. We've also got this is a good fight, I think. I mean, both guys are not really known for their punching power, so I'm not entirely sure it's going to be, like full of drama. But I like, it's an evenly matched fight is the best way to put it. It's over 10 rounds at super middle. It's Kieran Conway, 23-4 with a draw, stepping in with Mark Jeffers, 20-2. Jeffers coming off 2 back-to-back losses. The last one, of course, to Willie Hutchinson. He got stopped back in October. But he's a good fighter, and on his day can cause a lot of issues. And obviously, Kieran Conway coming off his stoppage loss as well to George Liddard, which was also in October. So yeah, all the best to both men there coming off losses. Also on the card, we got Bilal Fawaz, 11-1-1, defending his British and Commonwealth super welterweight titles against Ryan Kelly, 20-6 with a draw. Doesn't have the prettiest looking record, but you look at those 6 losses: a majority decision to Kevin Agyarko, a split decision to Kieran Conway, a split decision to Brad Pauls. He got stopped by Hamza Shiraz. He lost on points to Michael McKinson. Most of them losses were close losses, and this is a step up for Bilal Fawaz as well. I love the story. We all do. That win last time against Ishmael Davis, that's a cracking win. But it's another high level fight this for him. It's a step up. I don't want to say step up from Ishmael Davis, but it's around that same level. And then the main event, this could be drama fight of the year. I cannot see it not being, in Gennady Golovkin's words, a big drama show. We got 17-3-1 Conor Walker. It's over 12 rounds against Sam the Savage Eggington, who's 36-9. We had Sam on 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's very confident in this fight. He really is. And I hope he can do it. I love Sam Eggington. Great guy. He's given us so much entertainment over the years. Always comes to fight. The only thing going against him, I think, is that he did say it. He'd actually kind of, gone and got himself a job. And therefore, obviously, time-wise, you can't be dedicated to training as much as if you don't work full-time or part-time or whatever it was. So that's my only concern. I just hope that he's there mentally. Sometimes we have seen Eggington kind of not be there mentally. Reminds me of the Dennis Hogan performance, but that was on the road. But yeah, he knows it's a must-win fight for him, really, to keep his career alive. He's a very honest guy. He's honest with himself. He's honest in interviews. And I just hope he can win this fight. But of course, Conor Walker, he's got a lot of momentum coming off that brilliant win last time against Pat McCormack. No one picked him to stop Pat McCormack. He was sensational on that night back in December in Monaco. And again, the run he's on, beating Lewis Ritson, beating Harry Scarf, beating Liam Taylor, he's got serious momentum, while Sam Eggington, like I say, has been a little bit inactive. All the best, though, to Savage Sam Eggington. Just can't wait for it. It's definitely going to be a great fight. There's no way that it can't be. Both these guys are so aggressive, so come forward, so fan-friendly. It's going to be fantastic, that fight there. And then we're going to move to this one that goes down at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. One fight to mention, I almost missed this one, but we've got Oscar Duarte on the card. Again, another guy that has a very fan-friendly style. His record currently stands at 30-2 with a draw. He steps in with Angel Barrera, who's 23-4 with 2 draws. This one, by the way, is on Amazon Prime Video pay-per-view. And there's just quite a few fights on the card. If you go and look at it, there's a lot of evenly matched records on there. You know, undefeated fighters against undefeated fighters, guys with one loss against another guy with one loss. There's a lot of really, really good fights on this card. So I think it's not really getting the full credit, but it's a really competitive night of boxing. And also on the card we have Jose Resendiz, who is 16-2. He's coming off that big upset against Caleb Plant last time, which was just under a year ago. He steps in with Jaime Munguia, who's 45-2. Munguia coming off that win against Bruno Sarachi, in which he lost the first one and come back and, you know, beat him on points in the rematch. That will be 364 days prior come fight night on Saturday. Almost a year to the day since that comeback win. So yeah, that could be good. We'll have to wait and see, even though I don't really like the way Munguia's kind of been matched in recent years, really. I don't quite understand what the plan is with him. But forget about all of them undercard fights. We go to the main event for the WBO Cruiserweight World Title, Eddie. Gilberto Ramirez, 48-1. That one loss, of course, to Dimitri Bivol, which was back in 2022 now, and it was at 175, obviously. Since then, the win over Joe Smith Jr., the win over Arsene Goulamirian to capture a title at Cruiserweight, the win over Chris Billum-Smith, in which he beat the crap out of Chris Billum-Smith, to be honest. And then last time, the win over Junior Daltukos. Now he steps in with Benavidez, 31-0, friend of the show. We know how good he is, but he is packing on 25 pounds for this one. I'm sure it's, I don't know, is it? No, it's not going to be some kind of catch weight, I wouldn't have thought, if there's belts on the line. I don't know, I haven't heard anything about the weight, but I'm assuming it will be legitimately at cruiser. We know that Benavidez walks around big, Eddie, when he's not making weight, but this is still a big jump up in class. In weight, I should say. I think it's a really interesting fight, this one, and again, I don't think it's going to be like one-sided in any way. Ramirez is so good. He used to boil down. No one ever knows how he used to make 168. He's a massive guy. Used to come in huge on fight night. And he's, I want to say he's grown into cruiserweight, but really he was always a cruiserweight. He kind of just chopped off parts of his body and his belly to get down to 168 and 175. This is his true weight class. Benavidez, there's no warm-up fights in Benavidez's career. He will fight anyone, as we know. You just got to look back at his last few opponents. It's unbelievable. I'm going back in order from the last fight to the most recent fight backwards. Anthony Yarde, David Morrell, Alexander Gvozdyk, Demetrius Andrade, Caleb Plant, David Lemieux. These guys are really good world level fighters, all of them, and he's beaten them all. He's honestly one of my favourite fighters, and he's an absolute savage as well, and I love the guy. We've had him on a few times. Great guy. I'm going to lean with Benavidez just on activity and stuff, but I wouldn't be like, I think Ramirez is so underrated. I really do. I think he's so underrated. He's got a great jab, and I think he's probably got more ring IQ than Benavidez. I think Benavidez at times, Eddie, and correct me if you think I'm being harsh, but I think at times he's a little bit crude, and he's too aggressive, and a lot of the time it works for him, because he throws punches in bunches and he overwhelms people, and it does work a lot for him. But I think Ramirez, he's been in there with bigger guys. He's been at the weight a long time. He's the bigger man in terms of stature, and I think that he's going to have big moments himself in this fight. But I'm going to say it's a close fight. I'm going to say we're going to hear the final bell. I don't think Benavidez is going to go and stop Ramirez. I think he might just outwork him in important rounds. And I'm going to say it's going to be something like a 7-5 kind of fight, maybe 8-4 to Benavidez. That's how I'd see it.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that take. Um, I just Benavidez is. I don't want to say surprised me. I don't think it's a surprise that he's been doing as well as he's been doing. And against the competition he's done it against. But I do agree with what you said about how when you think IQ and things like that, I don't think his IQ is necessarily less. I just think that he's so much more confident and tougher in his mind than he is interested in being and thinking the fight through. I think he can, in his mind, he thinks he can just almost walk through anybody. You know what I'm saying? And it shows with his performances and how he just gets on the gas coming forward. Whether it's a dangerous move to do so or not. And I honestly think that is not going to be any different here. I think he's going to push through. I think he's going to try to force the fight. And I know I think Ramirez is about 6'3", right? Big guy, long rangy kind of guy. I mean, to be honest, so is Benavidez, even though they say he's 6'1", but he's rangy as well. But I think I really believe that he's going to come forward, and I do like what you said about how he's going to push the pace to the degree that he's going to probably win important moments of the fight and in some of the rounds, whereas Ramirez may be a little too cute or too careful. And I think the difference in the fight will be based upon who's willing to take the chances to be great or to get the victory as more than who's going to do the right thing or the right boxing move at that time. You understand what I mean? So I really believe that Benavidez is going to really go get it. I think he's hungry for, just being the best. Not saying that Ramirez doesn't have that or he isn't that. I just think Ramirez is like, I'm going to win the fight, which is the smart way to approach it. But I don't know if he's ready to go get it just the same way that Benavidez is. And I think that's the difference with a fighter like Benavidez versus Ramirez. Like I said, it's a great matchup. It's a good contrast in styles in a sense. I think they're both big guys, big good fighters, great fighters even. But I think at the end of the day, I think Benavidez is going to pull it out. Maybe it could be a little wider. It just depends upon how much Ramirez wants to give back, wants to take chances. Because I know Benavidez is going to go there and take all the chances he can. You know what I mean? In order to win this fight.
Cannot wait for it. Like I say, the whole Saturday is going to be absolutely unbelievable for a boxing fan from in the UK from morning to night. It's almost like 18 hours or something, like with a few breaks in between, but there's almost non-stop boxing. And then the final card to mention actually goes down at the York Hall on Sunday. It's also going to be live on DAZN, but a couple fights to mention over there. We've got Henry Turner, 15-1, returning to the ring in an 8-rounder against 6-5-1 Mark Andrejev. And then Sam Noakes returning to the ring as well. I want to say it's the first fight he's had since his loss to Abdullah Mason, 17-1 his current record. He's back in an 8-rounder. It's just basically to get him a quick win. He steps in with Benito Garcia, who's 17-19 with 4 draws, so a negative record. A lot of people not too happy about that. He's a tough guy, Garcia, but again, it's a very, 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 very big step back from the likes of Abdullah Mason. I think they probably... I'm sure Sam Noakes would admit as well. I'm sure I'm hoping they... Well, let me rephrase that. I think Sam Noakes is a very honest guy, but I don't know how they've not got anyone better than this guy. On BoxRec, he's ranked as the 1,036th best lightweight in the world. So I don't know what to say about that, but I don't think Sam Noakes cares who he fights. I think this was probably just the guy that it made most sense for. It's actually not on like a Frank Warren card or anything like that. It's a small hall show. It's on it's a John Clark top tier boxing card, so budgets are smaller, stuff like that, I would imagine. But anyway, all the very best to Sam Noakes. That, though, brings the preview part to a close. In part one, we did the review part. There was no guest this week. I was too busy. I'm super sorry about that, guys. In part two, we did the news. There was actually some news. How about that? And then the preview part just got wrapped up there. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 548 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. The biggest thanks of all goes out to you, the listeners. Thanks once again for tuning in. That is about everything now from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people, particularly your Saturday. Stay safe, and we'll see you all again same time next week.